Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Frontify's next webinar. I'm Oliver.
I'm Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie. Nice to be here. Great to be here again. I think it's our second webinar together.
Yes, it's great with Oliver.
That's nice. So, guys, today we're going to be talking about how easy you can digitalize your global brand guidelines in today's increasingly digital world. And Steffi's going to really kind of be able to demonstrate that with a demo. But before we do that, and as you know, it's a 30-minute presentation or demo, so we're not going to spend too much time with slides, but I think it's also really important for us to kind of jump into it without, just giving a bit of context so that you know who we are and where we're going and what Steffi's going to be showing you. So before we start, I prepared a few slides here, and I think, the first part of the webinar is going to be talking to you about, brand guidelines available in most companies, but are they being properly used and how should they be used? Then Steffi's going to demonstrate the tool properly and show you how easily you can build up your guidelines, how easily you can digitalize everything, how quickly exactly. And at the end, obviously, if we're going to have about 5 minutes where we're going to be able to answer some of your questions and really kind of you'll be able to participate in the conversation. And at the end, we've got a few final slides that we want to show you with our next webinars, which are upcoming and etc.
Yeah, and if we can't take your question, we're going to take it offline, do it in a one-to-one. So.
Absolutely. So always feel free to reach out, and we're always more than happy to get back to you on a bilateral level.
Cool.
So the first thing you got to know, and I think everyone joining the webinar knows this, but most large companies have brand guidelines in place, and that's based on, over 2,000 of our clients. We're constantly, talking to them, and they're giving their feedbacks, and we know what their pain points are. But a lot of those customers don't actually use them actively, or at least large parts of companies don't even, use them actively and there are many reasons for this. And a lot of the time, those guidelines are not, kind of neglected, and that's because people don't often know or don't know that they exist. And if they do know that they exist, they don't know where to find them. They're not easily, they might be stored on some sort of server and not available for everyone. They're often, or let's face it, most of the time, always out of date. And there are a lot of different multiple versions existing, and people are using different versions, and it's complete, it's a complete headache basically. And there's only a limited amount of people who can access them properly. And there's no kind of, the UI is not very, eye friendly, and it's really complex and annoying and a slow process, etc.
You don't really want to use them.
Exactly, but obviously we know that brand guidelines are really, really important, and that's one of the reasons why Frontify exists. And we know that brand consistency, not just inside a company, but also outside, is vital for any brand. We've got there are rules to follow for all the people interacting with that brand, which is really important. That's what guarantees that a brand is strong over time, sustainably. It's important that everyone related to the brand has access to the same information, this kind of single source of truth, which is really vital. And we've got to make sure that foundations are there to develop the brand further. We've got to be built on solid foundations, and the guideline is really kind of that foundation. And it's, if there's a good system in place to kind of manage your guidelines, you're going to be simplifying your daily work, and not just today, but also in the days to come. And since many people overlook brand guidelines, we know, and we talk a lot to brand managers, don't we, Steffi?
Yeah, absolutely.
But they often have a very tough time and quite an unsatisfying job, because they spend a lot of their time, being the brand police, and that's not really their job. They should be really, promoting the brand and not having to answer emails about where can I find this, why can't I access this, etc., the latest logo, etc., etc., etc. And explaining how the brand guidelines work and explaining the philosophy, and that takes basically up all their time usually.
Yeah.
But the brand managers should be investing, this vital time in actually maintaining, strengthening, and promoting the brand, not just internally but externally. Strengthening the brand sustainably, increasing the brand awareness, and developing marketing and communication campaigns, for globally. And the result is there's a lack of time for brand development, which is really, really important. And it's definitely time for a paradigm shift, and that's what we're going to be showing you in a minute. But we've got to go and show you how easily you can go from static, guidelines to dynamic ones, guidelines which are kind of breathing and living, and how you can further develop them. We want to go from a push principle to a pull principle, not kind of force feeding people the guidelines, but actually people having a nice, area where they can find all the information without having to ask people.
And enjoying it to go there and getting this information.
Exactly, and obviously large companies are working on the global level, and it's all about going from a localized environment to kind of a more global setting where really everyone around the world has access to consumes the same information. But above all, and this is kind of also the title of our webinar today, it's about going from analog to digital in this respect, obviously guidelines. And, you know, how do you digitalize brand guidelines? There are different approaches, and this is also based on what we, you know, do on a daily basis when we're talking to our customers. You know, a lot of the time people rely on PDF guidelines, so you've kind of got a guy or person working on the InDesign files, and then they generate in some sort of PDF, which they then share, and we know that they get out of date very quickly, really expensive
Absolutely.
to produce, just not
To maintain as well. Yeah.
Maintenance is a complete nightmare, and it's very, very static, you know, and there's different ways of doing it, and to avoid this kind of way of working, and there can be, you know, more modern ways, which we're going to show you today how you can do that. Then we see another scenario. A lot of people think, or companies think, or want to think, that they can build their own kind of, you know, custom applications, customized solutions, and that's obviously involves always GIT. It's a very kind of complex thing to do, and it takes its time, and it's got to be planned properly. And the other thing we notice, when, you know, customers develop their customized solution, the maintenance is a complete nightmare as well.
Absolutely.
No one takes ownership, and it becomes harder and harder to kind of control, and it starts to grow organically.
And it's not further developed, and a lot of the time that's the second step after they go from InDesign PDF, they go to this custom application, and it's even the bigger pain then in the end.
So absolutely, and based on this, what you're saying is kind of, you know, what we do here at Frontify is really looking at a third option, which is kind of where everything is online based. You know, why create something complicated when it could be kept really, really simple? And, you know, why not use a best practice tool or brand management platform to kind of make everyone's life easier on a daily basis?
Trialed and proven by over 2,000 clients.
This is not a sales pitch.
No, sorry.
Great. So just in a few words, you know, Frontify brand guidelines are obviously a part of a much larger picture. You know that Frontify, we're more like a brand management platform, whereby the guideline section is kind of the foundation. It's kind of where the information is stored, and it's what is also shared with the clients. And on this, you get all the different products that we also offer as part of our enterprise offering, like, you know, an integrated digital asset management, which we call the Media Library. You know, we've got a design and brand collaboration tool, which we call the Workspace, and we've got also a UI pattern library, which enables you to synchronize with external pattern libraries. So we've also got these different palettes of things, but all really sits on a really strong guideline, which is easily managed, always up to date, and easily shared with your, you know, key stakeholders, not just internally, but external ones as well. So I've spoken enough, I think. I think you guys want to see what we're talking about. So Steffi, you're on, and yeah, let's demo this tool.
Yeah, let's demo it. I'm really excited to do that. So I just switch out of the slides into my environment, and just what you see now on my screen is really a browser, any browser. It can be really Chrome, it can be Safari, it can be Internet Explorer. That's all you need. You go onto your URL, put it in, and you get your login page. And you can brand that as you wish. It's a thing we've done in 2 seconds, 2 minutes basically, to brand it like that. And then you can log in. And you are greeted with your cover page. So all your viewers who are consuming parts of your brand portal, your guidelines, what Oliver said, you know, the style guide part really being the foundation of your portal, where all the rules and regulation for your brand are stored. So they are greeted with this, and that this cover page kind of gives you full CMS capabilities, so you can style that really like your website, and you can really show the emotional approach already to your brand as well. Also, the user can switch straight away from here into the language of their choice, because all our portals are coming, you know, in multi-language, and as many languages as you wish.
We talked about being global as a company.
Absolutely.
Obviously, that starts with speaking the local language, and I think that's something that Frontify also, you know,
really important.
Takes into consideration. I think it's really important.
And also, the user could now straight away from here navigate, if they don't care too much about the provider navigation, into the full text search. You can from there really navigate in. But now we're going to focus on the style guide part. You see here I have a main navigation with all my different tabs, and I navigated now into my style guide section. And the first thing I really do, and we already built up a little bit of content, but I show you how really easy and amazingly beautiful it is to add content here. It's really cool.
And Steffi, before we even continue, just that you guys know, you know, this is our monobrand demo environment. You know, we created it for this specific webinar? How long did it take you to build this, Steffi?
I think it's probably a couple of hours. We built that up, so, including that cover page.
So basically, monobrand is the brand we use to just show you how how it could look and how all the different modules interact and how the cover page works with the guidelines, and this is what you see. So if you're wondering, monobrand, never heard of it, is that part of Frontify? It's obviously just a demo environment that we use to really kind of enable you to see what we're doing.
Yeah. Thanks, Oliver. So what I have here is really, I'm now an editor, so I can add content. So the first thing I'm going to do, as we said, we want to have living, breathing guidelines, so we don't want to work on them alone. So we don't want to be two people working on the guidelines, which would make them very static again. So I can now invite my team very easily here. So I can now say, Oliver, at frontify.com, and I just have to put in the unique email address. I could send a little message with it. I can then define a role. Each role obviously is paired with some permission sets. And I say, okay, Oliver should be in my editor team. I could even provide him some temporary access if I want. So if I work with freelancers in some agency, whatever, or some consultancy, I don't even have to remember to throw them off the platform. After 2 weeks, I could already define it here.
We define it before you even invite them.
Yeah. And if I want to be, quicker, I could also, define groups. So my marketing team, my branding team, so invite them in bulk, for example, give them rules and kind of roles accordingly. Or if you're working in a big organization as well.
And that's something we see with most of our larger
absolutely.
Clients we work with.
We could also link that to your single sign-on appliance, so all the people, would be bulk invited straight away. And if anybody ever leaves the organization, they would be taken off Frontify as well.
Yeah.
But that's how easy it is. I send out the email, and then I have my editor team together. And then I could really start working now on my guidelines. And I don't have to go back now into some backend or whatever. So I just hit this toggle. I could also kind of shorten that and hit Command E. Am I in the editing mode? And this is really inline editing what you see here.
So there's no front end, back end?
No publishing process, cumbersome.
What you see is what you get.
Absolutely. And everywhere where you see now these turquoise and white pluses, you can add content now. So I'm going to show you now a couple of things. What I've done here already, I've created a few pages within. I'm here now in my style guide. Each section up here, we call them documents, is a left-hand navigation, and you can create pages and little categories. So I'm here now, and every brand has logos. So I've already created a page called brand logo, and now I can say I want to add here something, and when I click that little plus, these box appears, and these are basically my smart content blocks. And we have over 40 of those, and it's like a bit like CMS Lego. We really recommend sign up for a free of charge try them all out, because we have a lot of them and continuously working to further develop them. So I show a couple of them. My favorite ones, for example, header here could be my reduced logo. And I hit enter, and you see it's appeared in the navigation straight away.
So it's very responsive as well.
Absolutely. And then I'm going to add an image block. And in that image block, I prepared a reduced logo. And voila, it's already up and running. What I could do now as well is I could add some attachments. For example, for my designers, they don't want to download a PNG or whatever, so they want to download straight away the SVG format or the EPS format of this.
So basically, we support any format you need. Obviously, different users need different formats for banners, maybe at shows, or you name it, vectorized graphics. You can just upload them as attachments, or if you wanted to, you could even add them separately, one on one, but one by one. Sorry.
So we have our own attachments block, or you do it here. So if I now go in as the consumer of these guidelines, as my viewer again, who would see it a bit like that, I could straight away now download my rightful or the right format I want. So it's really cool. So the second part I'm going to show you is the colors. Colors, every brand has colors. So I've already added some colors here. What I can do then, I could add some more colors. I added some headings up here. And now to add a color, it's really easy. I either pick and choose from this color picker, or if I know the hex code, which you probably do, and I already have one here, I could just add the color in here.
Mm-hmm.
I could then add attachments as well. I have different views of those colors now. Can have the card, the drop, or the list view.
It's very flexible, so you can really build it up to match what you're looking for and make it look how you want it, or how you want your people to see it and consume it.
Absolutely. And I could even now say I'm gonna rename that color, because obviously these colors are not the name, and I could name it after Oliver's beautiful blue eyes or violet eyes.
That is so nice of you, Steffi.
Okay, let's do that.
So basically you can pretty much edit everything, right? And what you mentioned before, maybe the color codes as well, that's also quite an important thing. You know,
yeah,
it's not
absolutely.
just about hex or RGB, but you can also obviously add, you know, Pantone or CMYK if you
absolutely.
have the colors manually.
Thanks for that. That's a really good point. So you can add whatever you like here. And then you could even say, for example, we have some other content blocks down here. In the color specific one, you could now add a color swatch, for example, which automatically generates your color swatch of all the defined colors you have put in here.
Be it primary, secondary, tertiary colors. You know.
I mean, you can then define, you know, do you just which colors do you want to mention here, which not, and this you can download then straight away into your Photoshop, for example, so you don't have to go into the guidelines every time you design something.
So a great shortcut for all designers.
Absolutely.
Anyone who like working in another design tool, be it Sketch, InDesign.
Well, it's good that you mentioned Sketch, Oliver. Mm-hmm. So if you have Sketch, we just launched a really, really cool plugin for Sketch. So you don't even need to download anything anymore. You just have to activate the Sketch plugin, and you have all the colors, all the typography available already in Sketch, which you define in the...
So obviously saving a lot of time, but also preventing any kind of mistakes to happen if you're doing it manually.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna navigate down here to my typography. Mostly every brand has a typography as well. And here I've already uploaded a few typographies we have, and I'm gonna do another one and the typography, and I'm gonna add the fonts content block. And here I could, you know, if I have a Google font, I could now just search for it, typekit, font deck. We really support everything here. Or I'm gonna add, which most organizations probably have, their own font, and I could just add a zip packet up here. And voila, you have the Accurate Light font available. I could now also say, okay, I might not want to have them all styles here in a preview. I could now say I either delete them or I sort them differently. So I'm really, really open on how to add and sort it. Also, I could now start, you know, sorting my whole guideline. So we really say, you don't have to have a hierarchy concept in mind when you start working with Frontify, but you just do. And then you can start thinking about navigations and things like that. And it's so easy to just drag and drop them around.
So you basically start building it. You don't have to kind of build it all in one go. Absolutely. I mean, that's what we're talking about when you talk about, you know, digitalizing your guidelines. You know, the guidelines are a living document, and they're going to continue growing and evolving. And you know, it's a grow as you go concept, and you know, you can start on maybe with a couple of smart content blocks, and you can start growing your navigation on the left. And if it gets really, really long, you can also add some collapsible navigation, accordions.
Or you do a new document, for example.
Et cetera.
So it's really something. Normally, in the olden days, you know, when you had a project like this, the minute it was launched after a year, it was already out of date. So here, you really continue straight away and start. You know, it's really living. Mm-hmm. So what we could do here now, because we have defined now our main, you know, some key components of the brand, we could go back into our navigation up here into the design settings, and we could now even say, okay, we want to make our brand guidelines even more ours and apply the just uploaded font.
So basically make them look more corporate, as any company would want it to do. It. These are guidelines after all, and they're all about promoting, you know, the corporate identity, brand identity, and that's in the guidelines. That's where they start.
Absolutely. So I could even go back here and now define colors and things like that from the cover page we just seen in the beginning. So I could reuse all these defined things now. A really cool content block I want to show you here is, for example, also I've worked here with an image grid. It's this one here, where I uploaded lots of pictures, and you could now individually link every picture to a different page or to outside the organization. So you're very open to kind of play around here. This can be shown in 2 columns, 4 columns, or 3 columns. We have
maybe before you continue, Steffi, and this is maybe important for you guys. We mentioned that, you know, the guidelines are kind of the foundation at Frontify. You know, the image grid is a great feature, and that's when you have, you know, let's say maybe up to 20 pictures. Obviously, in large quantities, we're looking at a digital asset management system, which is kind of our media library, which we're not going to be showing you today. But that's what you would be using if you had a larger quantity of, you know, images, videos in different formats, etc., that you wanted to manage properly.
Absolutely.
And you would like your users to find easily.
And absolutely, that's with meta tagging, a full-blown DAM system.
Exactly. So that, by the way, will be one of our webinars in the coming future.
Actually, yes.
We'll be talking about that
very soon.
Very soon, absolutely.
So we have I added here our own page for icons, and icon is really easy as well. You have the content block.
Mm-hmm.
I have to quickly find it now. The icon one here. Again, you can either, you know, work with like Moon, Fantello, Fantastico. Again, add SVG.
Same functionality as the typography, the fonts. It's very straightforward, very quick as well. Very easy to test and see how it looks. And based on what you want, you can really kind of customize it in your own way.
Yeah, I just drag and drop in the zip here, and straight away you have all that that icons in preview. Yeah, done it now. So another one quickly want to show you is the annotations block. That is one of my favorite ones. I still is in these content blocks. So it's basically to describe visual images, to really have a common language. It's a real content block. And when I go back into the editing mode,
so Command E again.
Yeah, again, that's that easy. So further down here. Let me see. It's here, the annotations block. I've already added a picture. You can drag and drop in a PNG, whatever. And then you can start on the side here to really describe it. So that's, for example,
so the ones at the bottom here,
yeah, my main teaser. And number 2s are my mini teaser, for example. And you can really describe them. Now, the color is a bit unlucky here, so I could then go and change the bubble colors. As you see down here, I have all the colors I just defined in my color content blocks, and I'm gonna choose now, and I want to make them a bit bigger. And voila, I have them now, so so I can really describe now.
So Steffi, I was going to ask you, who would probably use this functionality? You know, is it kind of a good way of kickstarting a process and letting people know very quickly where should be what?
Absolutely, yeah. So really having a common language of what and how to name things, and if people talking about visuals, that you really talk about the same stuff. So we have much more. Quick one I want to show is video, for example. So we have 2 ways of adding a video. It's further down on the media one. So we have a media content block where you just can copy and paste, for example, YouTube URL, or we have a whole video content block where you can host a video on Frontify. And again, you know, if you have loads of videos, it probably makes sense that you're looking into the full DAM solution, where you can have much more flexibility. But, you know, to start off with, we have a lot what you can do here as well.
So obviously videos bringing in some motion, you know, it's a nice eye catcher, and it looks always great on any kind of guideline.
Absolutely.
And, you know, you mentioned it within the guidelines, but what you showed before in the cover page, obviously, you could also upload your videos there if you wanted to.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And the last one I'm going to show you here is our newest addition, is the do's and don'ts, which I really like. We waited a little bit for it. So, for example, I could have some do images again in here. Now I could just drag and drop a couple of them in, like this. And these are my do's then. And then I could also upload some don'ts. So further down here. Just upload this one, and then I could really say, okay, I want to work here with strike through. These are the don'ts, and I can give in titles for each individual one, describing it, what's good on them, what's lighting, etc., and what's not good on the don't one. So this is, you know, that's a matter of two minutes. I have a do's and don'ts. Yeah,
absolutely.
So we're nearly already. Maybe I show you one more. And that's up here in my UR pattern library. So we have a couple of options how to add in the style guide as well, patterns as well.
Absolutely. Which are part of any kind of, digital company. It's really important that the patterns are also hosted in the same environment. And that's why we got this kind of UI functionality as well, which also enables you to involve your developers, your UX designers, etc. That everyone's working around the same table and has access to the same information, and then that information can be seen by everyone who's been invited to the guidelines. Yeah,
absolutely. And so part of the style guides is really further down here. You have the UI code specific ones, and you have the UI pattern block, and you can from here, you can create a new pattern really easily. And for that, I need now my little cheat sheet, as my markup is not that good anymore. And I could just copy that and paste it in here. And you see straight away.
Not a very nice example, but...
Oh well, we could also add some styling to it now, which makes it a bit nicer than if I have my styling that granularly available, but you get the concept of it. So you can now make them apply the colors, the styling. We could also apply the styling globally, work with Bootstrap. But the thing is, I don't want to go into too much detail here. We have our own area for pattern libraries as well, as Oliver said before. That's all around, we even can synchronize existing pattern libraries to Frontify and give it kind of a window into your global organization.
And it's not just visually available, but it's also responsive, so you can see how it reacts. If you hover over it with the mouse, stiffly quickly, if you go over it with your mouse, you can also see how it should change. And you can really really offer the storyline, give the story and show the journey to whoever is working with your guidelines. So that's a kind of a really nice feature as well.
Absolutely.
And maybe last one thing, Steffi, I wanted you to show as well. The draft mode is when we talked about maintainability with some sort of customized, built in-house built solution. The maintainability is always the biggest nightmare. After 6 months, you start seeing the first weeds and no one's taking ownership. So on Frontify, it's very easy to kind of maintain your style guide as well. If you make any changes, that this style guide might have been shared with 500 viewers, and maybe the footer section has got to be changed. If he wants to make some changes there, she could add it or bring it into draft mode, which is why it's marked in orange. You can see it here as well with the eye. And, if you make your changes, maybe Steffi's added some new buttons and et cetera, and she's happy with it and people should start seeing it again. What she could then do, she could then click again on the eye and then just refresh the page again. And you'll soon notice that draft mode, or that little orange button bubble, just got to update the page, is gone. And that means that this page is again available for everyone. So in terms of maintainability, I think it's also very, very straightforward and quick.
And absolutely. And last but not least, you have here full chat capabilities with our support team, and a full database of lots of videos and really a lot of help articles, which are short and to the point with lots of screenshots, which is quite nice to have as well.
Exactly.
So I'm going to switch now from having the time.
Exactly, back in the time. And exactly, so I've got some final slides we just wanted to go through. I think it's important that we stick to our 30 minutes. Obviously, we could also talk for much longer.
Yes.
As Steffi already said, I think the best thing as well is to sign up for a trial and really get to play around with the different content blocks. And if you have any kind of questions or any kind of observations, reach out to us. We're really happy to discuss it with you guys. Maybe just close that. Can I use? Absolutely. Can I use Adobe Typekit fonts within Frontify? That's someone's asking us on the platform. Absolutely. And that's something that Steffi showed you before. If you have any questions regarding that, just get back to us and we can also jump on a call to show you how it works.
Absolutely.
And I just got to click on here. Okay. Now, the other thing which is important, we mentioned that the guidelines are one part of a much bigger picture. And we've also got what we call a media library. And that's why on the 23rd of October, we've got our next webinar planned, where we're going to be focusing on the digital asset management perspective, showing you how it works and why digital asset management is just not enough, because it's going to be part, obviously, of our Frontify platform, how it interacts with the guidelines, how it interacts with the workspace, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we look forward to seeing you there as well. If you're interested, make sure to be part of it. On the 13th of November, that will be in a couple of months. We're going to be focusing more on the kind of the UI, which Steffi was showing you before with the patterns. We're going to be also talking to one of our colleagues in the UK who we work with many times. He's not part of Frontify, but he's got a lot of experience in that area. So we're really looking forward to it, and we're going to be focusing on the question, how to scale your digital team and how easily you can do that in today's digital world. And then a final webinar, or the next one, which is already defined. The date is not clear yet. That's going to be before Christmas time. but we're also going to be showing you our latest Web to Publish tool, which is really showing you, which is a templating tool, basically showing you how it works with all the different modules as well. And that's going to be as well a really exciting webinar as well. But when we continue, maybe Steffi, that's something else we talked about.
Yeah, absolutely.
We talked about, you know, sign up for a trial, guys, get to play around with the tool. We can give you 30 days where you're able to invite all your, you know, relevant stakeholders. Everyone gets to try it and play around with it, discuss it. And we look forward as well to your feedback. It's all about, you know, discussing it and making sure that we can really, really help you. And we're also going to share with you our monobrand template, the one that Steffi demoed before, where you're going to be able to see how it's been built up and what could be added to it as well, to make it really kind of working document. And obviously just reach out to Stefanie directly, to me, Oliver at frontify.com, Stefanie at frontify.com. We're always available to answer your questions. And based on the time, we're pretty much on 30 minutes. This is maybe important for you guys. You know, we've used a monobrand example, which is kind of a demo environment, but obviously we work with many large customers in all, you know, all the continents. And we've got a page on our website which talks about our best practices, you know, stories. We're basically working with, you know, large companies like Lufthansa in Germany, Vodafone in Germany, etc., etc. So just log on to our website and take a look at, you know, what we did together in anything related to concerning their brand, and how, you know, Frontify was used to kind of really improve their user experience, if you like. So I think we're done. Time's looking good, 30 minutes.
Thanks, guys.
I think we've done it. It's not always easy to stick to 30 minutes, right? Because there's a lot of information. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks a
Steffi,
million.
thanks for demonstrating the tool.
Thank you.
And we look forward to the next webinar, and hope to see you soon, and hope to see you there. And until then, have a great day and a great rest of the week.
Bye from St. Gallen. Bye bye.
Bye from St. Gallen. Take care.